Let's get it. What's going on, guys? This is another episode in my 21 episode podcast challenge. So, welcome back. Excited for this episode. I think I'm really getting this down now. I'm excited to. I feel like I've said that almost every episode, but now it's getting easier for me to just tune in, click it on, and do it. And I don't really have to overthink anymore. I feel like I have built my identity around the fact that now I record and post podcast episodes. So that's what's really cool, is almost this journey that I've been documenting going into these 21 episodes, like how you've seen me from the first episode, and just the talking points that I've been pinpointing has almost been my development journey with practically every skill I have been ever working on developing. Like, this process, it works because I have proven to myself over and over and over again that when I go through this cycle of doing the action, getting uncomfortable, trying to learn, failing, sucking, getting better, growing, being resilient, then losing that momentum, but then getting it back by being resilient and getting truly uncomfortable. But then once you push past that pain, that's when you grow into that momentum cycle, and it gets like you just go and go and go and go. You don't care about results because you're just in that momentum cycle. But then through doing that, you've pushed past the pain, you've pushed past the no results, you've built the resilience, then you built momentum, and then after that, that's when you begin to just enjoy that journey, like I did in my podcast episode yesterday. So that's been that cycle, and I've done that with, it's how I learned leadership, it's how I learned sales, it's how I learned, that's how you get better at sports, it's how you get better at communicating. All of that is a cycle that you can repeat and repeat and repeat. But there's also kind of this next thing that comes into that, and then this is where consistency becomes part of the battle, because you've done it, and then all of a sudden you've accomplished it, you've built the momentum, it's awesome, you love it, you enjoy the process, but now it's just like, now it's part of you. It's who you are. It's your identity. And this is when consistency hits. And when you develop the skill of consistency. So I just wanted to come and kind of talk about that in this episode today. And there's gonna be times when your motivation leaves. Because right now I'm motivated, I have this 21 podcast episode challenge, and everyone knows that I'm doing it, and everyone's like asking how many episodes have I done, and I'm trying to show them that I'm doing it, and I'm capable of it, and I'm beating, and I am who I say I am, and I'm gonna get it done. Okay, what happens next month when my challenge is something else? And I can tell myself, like, I did 21 in a month, so this week I could take this week off and that stuff. Like, this is where I can trick my brain into thinking that because I have done this accomplishment, I don't have to be that consistent. But this is, now it's part of who I am, and I wanna do one a week or one every other week. And with my lifestyle and some of the things I have going on, I have no doubt in my mind that I can easily do it, because I have proven to myself that I could practically do one. It's so embarrassing. I love yawning. So stupid. But that's where it comes in. This is where I kind of lost my train of thought. But that's where consistency is going to come in, because I know I can do this. I've proven to myself that I can do it practically almost every day. So once a week is going to be like, dude, come on. Like, you did this every day, even with working, even with the gym, even with the social life, even with everything else you have going on, you still made it happen every day. So you can easily do once a week, or once every other week. But also make the promises that you have to yourself realistic. But I feel like that's also another thing with consistency is how do you find your balance of pushing it where it feels like it's unaccomplishable versus doing something where it's too easy and it doesn't actually challenge you. Because I believe in having a vision and a goal for yourself that's so big that you'll practically never accomplish it. So then you'll always have something to chase and always something to strive for. But that can be a big life goal. But then you tie that big goal to find out micro actions that amplify your life forward in the infinite game. So it's like, how do you do that in a way of this journey that I just have been documenting in my 21 episodes? Like, how do you develop how do you take action on the things you want to? How do you develop discipline, resilience, momentum, and learning to love the journey? And then you do it again and again and again, and you just keep getting consistent. And then that's when you get great and excellent at things, and that's when you develop mastery, because it's not, you do it regardless of if you're motivated or not, because it's who you are. Like, I know for me, I like the gym. I enjoy the gym. It's something that I identify as a person who goes to the gym. And I have a feeling in my life, granted, given like mechanics and biology, like as long as I can go to the gym and I'm physically capable of working out or doing something to make my body more fit or healthy, like I will do it regardless of what's going on in my life, because that's part of who I am. So that's where that consistency comes in. This is another one that's a bit random, but let's see here. Motivation is fleeting, discipline lasts. So yeah, it's all about just discipline and consistency as well. Talked about action creates momentum, consistency. Oh, here's another one that's a really good talking point. So I want to talk about how consistency doesn't also mean say this. Here's an example. Consistency doesn't mean that if I say I'm going to do one every week and I miss a week, I can still be consistent, because there's giving up. So basically, you can never fail as long as you don't give up. So I started this podcast in June, and only now have I gotten to my 21 episodes. You know, it's like I started this in June, it's November, so it's like, but I can say I have been consistent, technically, because I did not give up. I did not quit. I still have a podcast. Now I'm developing my discipline in podcasting of trying to get an episode out every week, 2 weeks, day, because of this 21 podcast challenge. But I started this in June, and I have done a couple episodes since June. So therefore, I can say I have had a podcast and I have been consistent in posting stuff. But now that I have set a new goal and a new standard, that's where it comes in. Like, you will always, You will always fall to the level of your standards. And I try and live by that. Like, if you just have a standard that you go to the gym 3 days a week, and that's your standard, you could take a day off. But if you have to go 3 days in a row because you took the rest of the week off, and your standard is that you go to the gym 3 times a week, you go to the gym 3 days in a row. And you can do that every other day, but like, your standard is you do 3 days a week at the gym. So you will always fall to the level of your standards. So how do you hold standards for yourself and stay true to them? Because that's where your consistency will lie in. So for me now, I started this podcast in June, and I was like, my standard is I'll just I want to be a person who does what he wants when he says he wants, and I posted podcast episodes when I felt like I wanted to. Now, I was like, man, at the end of the day, the person who I want to be is someone who's consistently posting podcasts. So I came up with a 21 episode challenge to get me to be closer to that person. So then now I have a new standard for myself where I post one episode at least every 1 or 2 weeks. Because I know realistically I can totally do one a week. That is so bare minimum, but I know myself and I know my self-awareness, and say I have some things going on with work and or gym and or family, friends, relationships, stuff, and I don't want to post one for a week. I still am a person who operates as saying I do the things that I want when I want to do them. So therefore, I give myself a standard of at least one every 2 weeks, but I push and strive for one every week. So that's an agreement that I will make with myself, and now I'm making that with you guys who are my listeners. So therefore, people can then hold me to my standards, which is just kind of cool, because then that's where you become the type of person who is consistent in the things that you want to do. Progress over perfection, we've kind of done that. But also, it's kind of a different side of consistency, but also this is where you prove you're different than other people. This is kind of that side of you where you can prove that you're capable of more. As to say, hyper successful people have these 3 qualities, and I feel like I relate to it like crazy, and it's hyper successful people have this superiority complex. Gosh, I hate yawning. Okay, let's redo that. Hyper successful people have this superiority complex. They feel like they can accomplish more, that they are meant for more, that they deserve more. But then the opposite side of that, the second thing, is they have crippling insecurity. They feel like they're actually not smart enough, they'll never be enough, and they can't actually accomplish these goals. But that third thing is they just take deliberate action towards those goals regardless of how they feel. And I feel like those 3 things are the type of person who I want to be. I want to be a type of person who knows that they can accomplish big goals and big things because, for one, I've proved to myself that I can accomplish big goals and dreams. Pretty much everything I set for myself, I have done. And I'm kind of relentless like that. If I decide I want something, it's pretty much I will make it happen. Even if it takes me a while, I will figure out a way to make it happen. I'll work my ass off. I'll do what it takes. I will suffer and toil and make it happen somehow. I know that if I say I'm going to run a half marathon, I'll do it. Even if I'm crawling across the finish line, I will make it happen. Here's the story. Let's go on a tangent. I did an Ironman, a half Ironman, and I had never swam in my life. I never really like did swim training. And then I had a shit bike. Like my bike I bought off of like Trade Me Facebook Marketplace for like $200. And every mechanic I brought it to was like, "Oh my god, is this the bike you're using for the race?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be fine." I didn't even have cycle shoes for one. Like these pedals were like practically rusted and falling off. So the day before the race, they're like, "Dude, like if these pedals are gonna like fall off on the amount of that you have to ride. Like at least get new pedals." So literally the only thing I bought was like new pedals on this piece of shit bike. And then I do the swim, right? I get it done. And on the bike, my foot slips off the pedal and I tweak my knee in the middle of the bike. And I'm like, oof, it didn't feel right. It hurt. It was aching and I was like, oh, it's probably fine. It's just like a little weird movement. And I literally am like tweak. I was like, oh man, it still hurts. But I keep pushing. I'm like, it is what it is. Fine. You started the race. Let's just finish it. Then I get off of the bike. I finish the bike ride. And you go to rack up your bike and you get ready for the run. And I literally take the first step off of my bike when I go to rack it. I'm like, oh shit. My knee is like throbbing in pain. It hurts so bad. So then I literally like racked the bike and I was like, I still have to go run a half marathon on a messed up knee. Like, I literally have no idea how I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I was like, you know what? I'll just take one step at a time and try and make this happen. And it is what it is. Even if I'm crawling all across that finish line. So I get 8 pain reliever, water, and then stuff called Voltaren or something, where it's like pain reliever, like it's like a ointment or some shit. Soak my knee in it, and I have these calf sleeves that help with the cramps in your calves while you're running and stuff. So I literally I soak my knee in that Voltaren stuff, pull the calf sleeve over my knee to have some compression, and I'm limping. Like, I'm literally limping. I can't even walk like a normal person. I'm limping, and I'm going to the chute where you like enter to do the run, and I see my siblings because they came to watch the race. And oh man, they literally look at me and I'm limping past them. They're like, why are you limping? I was like, I fucked up my knee. I don't know. It hurts. And they're like, what are you going to do? I was like, I'm going to run. And they're like, looked at me like I was crazy. It was so funny. And I was like walking. I was like, you know what? Okay. Yeah. But then I realized what time it was. And I was like, fuck, I'm not going to have enough time to finish this race. So I get to the first aid station, I pop the pain reliever, my knee's still throbbing, and I was like, they had these cups of ice. So I grabbed these cups of ice and I just toss them in the knee sleeve, just fill the knee sleeve with ice. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna walk for 5 minutes, let my knee go numb, and then I'm gonna run. And from that moment, I literally ran the whole rest of the race. I ran the rest of the race because I knew if I stopped, it would hurt too much. And I just ran and ran and ran and ran. Every time I came to the aid station, what I do, I'd put more ice on my knee. And then I'm going across the finish line, and literally, I'll see if I have to find a picture of it. But man, you look at the picture of me finishing that race, and my knee has ice. Like, the ice is just all around my knee. It just looks ridiculous. But I finished the race. And that's the thing I wanted to come talk about is, like, I knew in my training that I could run. Like, running's my strong suit. I enjoy running. And that was the one thing that I wasn't able to, like, thrive in because I was injured. But even then, I still had the discipline and the determination, the resilience to, like, still push. I couldn't walk for the next 2 weeks after that. I had to be on crutches and go to physio, and I ended up tearing my meniscus on that bike. I tore my meniscus on that bike ride. So, like, that's what happened. And I still finished the bike ride and then ran a half marathon on a torn meniscus, which is so stupid. And I don't recommend that for anybody. But I know that when I say I'm going to do something, I do it and I finish it. So that's just a little bit of, like, another story where I feel like I have this relentless self discipline when it comes to when I say I'm going to do something, I do it, and I'm not proving it to anybody else. Like, I didn't care about the speed of the race. Like, I was like, man, like, I injured myself and I just needed to finish. I was like, there's tons of people who finished before me, tons, but, like, at the end of the day, I still finished on a torn meniscus, and that was an accomplishment that I can always look back on and just know that I do what I say I'm going to do, and I accomplish the goals that I set for myself. So that's a little story about that, and how I have so many stories like that with races I've done, with promotions, with jobs, with things that I've been through. And no matter what, I feel like it's always been good, and it's always been built off of this progress that I'm literally documenting right now in this podcast. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that contributed something to you guys. I feel great about this podcast journey and excited to keep growing and building. This is Contribution with Connor. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we contribute something to your life through these episodes. Always let me know. It makes my day when I hear that it actually does impact some people, or how it's helping make a difference for someone out there listening. So much love, everyone. Stay tuned. Let's get another episode in tomorrow and in the next couple of days. Have a great weekend and all the best.